Good morning, everybody. This is K. Balakrishna. Presently, we are dealing with the topic called as listing, and it is one of the topic in the subject called as financial services. What do you mean by listing? Once the primary market is completed, now the investor must be permitted to trade their primary shares, that is secondary shares. Okay, this permission is granted by the SEBI after the company registers itself in the stock exchange. The process of registering of a company in a stock exchange is called as listing. For example, there are 24 stock exchanges in India, and 24 to 28 stock exchanges in India. And the listing, if the company shares can enter into the secondary market only if the shares are, the company can enter into the secondary market only if the company's shares are listed. Only the company is listed. SEBI gives the permission for listing. That is, SEBI gives the permission for trading the shares in the stock exchange of a particular company. Now I would like to give a small brief introduction regarding what do you mean by listing, what do you mean by delisting and other procedures. Listing refers to the addition of security into the secondary market or the secondary stock exchange. If I wanted to trade in a secondary market, if an investor wanted to trade in the secondary market, his company must be listed in the stock exchange. If XYZ company is listed in the stock exchange, all its investors get traded and can get traded in the stock exchange. What are the merits of listing? The listing liquidity is very, very high. Means the shares can be easily converted to cash. Best price can be offered for the shares. The information will be provided to the SEBI, and information can be taken from the SEBI. Periodic reports regarding the listing must be submitted by the company to the SEBI. Next, all the shares are all the primary allotments must be done after. All the primary allotments must be done, and the transferability of the shares must be done before the listing itself. And these primary shares can be transacted after listing. What are the demerits of listing? The major demerits of listing is it must be registered in the stock exchange. It is a permission granted by the SEBI to trade its shares in a particular stock exchange. If a company wanted to trade in all the stock exchanges in India, it has to apply for registration in all the stock exchanges in India. And the listing decision is taken usually at the annual general meeting, and the annual general meeting report must be submitted to the SEBI. What are the requirements of listing? There must be minimum issued capital. Next one is if excess of money, if the application fees, that is 1% of the paid up capital must be paid as the application fees. Next, listing must be done on multiple exchanges at a time. Next one is the number of shareholders. The SEBI also given a guideline regarding the number of shareholders, and all the companies which wanted to be listed must be according to the articles of association drafted. What are the SEBI guidelines for the listing? The first and the foremost SEBI guideline for the listing is there must be a common form of transfer should be used. That is, Demat accounts are usually employed for selling and purchasing of the secondary shares. Once the shares are fully paid, then the listing process starts. Next one is if it wanted to provide the equity dividend or preferential dividend, all these regulations are mentioned in 205A of Companies Act. Next one is in the listing procedure, the name of the regional stock exchange must be mentioned, and in the prospectus also the name of the regional stock exchanges must be mentioned. Next, the opening date, closing date, and must be mentioned in the prospectus. And together with this, there must be 3 minimum working days and maximum of 10 days before listing. The prospectus must be released. The listing application must consist of an MOA signed between the company and the stock exchange. There must be also a debenture trust deed that is signed as a sign of trust between belief between the company and the stock exchange. Next one is the company prospectus, as well as the last 5 years report must be submitted to the SEBI at the time of listing. Copy of letter, reports, balance sheets, valuation contracts, all these things must be submitted at the time of listing. That who is the underwriter, who is the broker, who is the seller, who is the person promoters, etc. must be mentioned in the listing procedures and formalities. Next, treasuries, management directors, technical directors, general manager must be reported. The copies of IFC must be provided to the provided by listing. Next, delisting. Sometimes the registration listing fee is not paid or not paid in the right quantity. Then delisting can take place. Swing trading means trading where less number of buyers and sellers are present. Such markets are called as thin markets, and the transactions in thin markets is very, very difficult. Such time delisting may take place. Next one is if any grievances are there between company and the stock exchange, they need to be redressed. Otherwise, delisting will be there. If unfair trade practices are present, SEBI will delist the companies. If the company is unable to pay the listing fees, that is 1% of the total paid up capital, it will be delisted. If the company is sick, that is having a track record of 3 years of continuous losses or closed, the company will be delisted. If the company involves in mergers, demergers, amalgamations, and takeovers, must be taken prior permissions. This is a small analysis regarding merits, demerits of listing, SEBI guidelines of listing, advantages and disadvantages of listing. Thank you.